And good morning to everybody. Welcome to the Olympian Table here on this nice rainy July morning on a Thursday. I'm sure there's only one good thing to look for that is going to get better weather, and we'll get our regular Houston weather back. But we hope everybody's safe and happy.
Absolutely.
How are you doing, James?
I'm doing well. I can't complain about the weather, man. I mean, my grass is looking lush and moist. It's beautiful. I just can't complain about any of that. But, we don't want it to start flooding. I did get a notification that we're under flash flood watch.
Oh, we are?
Which is, the step down from the warning. But, we are under a watch. So, we just got to kind of be careful.
Yeah, I was walking the dogs this morning. It was a little bit wet, but, it started to get a bit drier. And I'm like, well.
I welcome it. Keeps the temperatures down a little bit because,
August
is a burner, man. It is
afterwards, there's a little bit of humidity after, but
and mosquitoes.
It does keep the... That's the answer. I need to walk the dogs in Speedos.
Hey man, do what you will, Bring it back.
Only in America.
Bringing sexy back, Steve.
Only in America.
I'll let you stick to that.
I don't know if you want to see me in Speedos, but there you go.
Hey man, it's all good.
Yep, only in America. And while we're talking about only in America, come on, I'm dying to ask this question. What's your opinion on the Bill Cosby release?
Man, so first of all,
me and you have different opinions on this. I know.
I'm sure we do. I don't think he ever should have gone to prison, only because we're talking about accusations that he confirmed that he gave the drugs to the people, right? He did it.
He did the wild thing.
He did all that stuff, and he had sex with these people. Now, first of all, kind of weird, Bill. I don't know where you get off on having sex with a lifeless body, but hey, to each his own. But the way that it was posed for him as a man of status at that time, and a lot of people, doing drugs back then, it was just kind of a normal thing. And, bad decisions. It was terrible decisions. Should he have been penalized? I think, pay some fines, maybe some restitution, but to go to prison at 80, whatever years old he is, I disagree. Mainly because there is a young lady by the name of Belcalis Almanzar, better known as Cardi B, who bragged about working her way through the stripping industry and drugging guys and robbing them. And everyone was just kind of, oh, yeah, girl, you had to do what you had to do, blah, blah, blah. That's not cool. She admitted that she did that to kind of get her leg up in the deal. Now, bad decisions for her too, but she did not go to prison, and honestly was kind of, applauded for the trek that she took. Now, it's kind of a double standard there because, most guys are not going to say, hey, well, this lady, this stripper drugged me and took my money, but it still happened. So I just feel like never should have went. And if nothing more, in the civil case, when he admitted that he did the drug stuff, they said they weren't going to use that in the criminal, and they did. So he got off on a technicality, but hey, he's out.
What was the reason the Supreme Court actually used for him to get off?
That was it. When he was getting sued civilly, they asked him, "Hey man, well, did you do it?" And they were saying that that testimony wouldn't be used against him criminally,
and they used
it against him. So you admit to doing it. I mean, you committed the crime. Hey man, you said you did it. They ran with it. So the judge just never should have allowed it.
But didn't he do it without the knowledge of? Didn't he give the drugs without the knowledge and consent of the females?
I don't think that's what the issue was. I think it was just that they were under the influence, and then he took advantage of them sexually.
So don't you think there should have been some sort of restitution for the females?
to give to them?
Yeah.
Civilly. Absolutely. I think civilly, if you say you want to take him to court because he did that to you, so be it. But to lock him up in prison?
I mean, it's tough when you're 80 years old, but then, I think it went on for a number of years.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel for them females personally. I think it's, I feel for them, and it wasn't just one or two. I mean,
it wasn't. I'm not condoning any of the action at all. I just feel like it was, it was an excessive punishment for the time now, especially when you have one Cardi B basically bragging about the same situation having done to me. So that's kind of where I am with it. But hey, Jell-O pudding pops are back on the market.
Yeah.
And word says that he is planning some documentary or comedy tour. So it'll be interesting to see how that is attended.
Do you think that's right to have fun over something like this?
Is it fun? He's just working. He's got to pay his bills. He's not getting three hots and a cot now. I mean, he's got to be one of the a citizen of the world. So I don't know. Here's the thing. Here's what happens well too often, and this is not on our list, but too often, Steve, people are convicted over accusation. You don't even have to have proof. If I accuse you of doing something, especially men, it's a wrap for you. It's done for. You take Kenneth Kavanaugh. He was guilty from the time that lady said that he did it. Period. Even though she couldn't remember a lot of stuff, he couldn't remember a lot of stuff. He was guilty because he was accused. And we as the public, we will accuse someone and convict them on an accusation many, many times. And I don't think it's fair. So it is what it is. I think it's that's where my opinion lies. So on this good on this alleged drugging of these women, he never should have went to prison. But you obviously think he should have.
I guess I'm a bit too sensitive in relation to how the girls feel, if you want to, but it sort of brings back into question the fact that did the females, if you want to, even meet with him behind closed doors, if you want to climb the ladder, so they benefit,
Yeah.
But I same again, I just think that because the drugs wasn't given with, first it's illegal for drugs anyway. At this moment in time, I do wish they'd legalize marijuana personally. That's just my personal opinion.
Uh-oh. You like a little of that wacky tobacco there, Steve?
Do you know what? I've never done it before in my life, but because of health reasons, because of health reasons and, suffering from epilepsy, I've been told apparently it helps you, but
I was always afraid that I'd get the bad batch. I got to explain to people what happened. Man, you waited till you were 45 years old to get high, and look at you. You can't even walk.
And at the end of the day, you don't know if anything works until you try it. So it's a little bit of a.
I'll give you guys a little insider secret.
Speak to us.
The Texas legislation.
Okay.
There actually is a form of marijuana that is legal in Texas. Or not.
Oh, would that be of the Delta?
The Delta 8. Yes.
Oh, yes.
So actually, Delta 9. It's like a Toyota Camry and a Toyota Corolla, right?
Okay.
So they're both the same thing. They just built differently. Delta 9 is typical marijuana that you would get from the South, from from Europe, all that stuff. That is what's illegal. The Delta 8 is legal in the States, so you can actually go into smoke shops and you can buy Delta 8.
Delta 8.
The dosage is the same. You have to be 21. The only difference is in Vegas or somewhere where it's legal, you have to go to like a liquor store-esque type of deal where you have to go to a cannabis store, you know what I'm saying? Here, you can go to just a smoke shop and buy it. That's because it's unregulated. So I think over time, they'll start to regulate more of it, and it'll become more user-friendly. But yeah, right now it's legal. You can go buy it.
And you get the same effects, I guess, right? It's the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
So
I would say even more because like anything, alcohol, whatever, you become habituated over time, right? So if you're only smoking like Delta 9 weed, you're going to feel the effects less and less. Whereas like Delta 8, it's a completely different like molecular structure. So it works.
Well, I have heard about the Delta 8. Having not dabbled myself in any of it, I have no issue with drugs being legal, honestly, because it's a personal. If you choose to do it, that's on you.
Well, there's two.
It's like cigarettes.
But there's two things that I can't understand that they don't do in Texas. That I don't smoke the marijuana. I can't understand why they don't legalize it so they can tax it.
Absolutely.
And I think
political.
And that's the first thing. And the second thing is I really can never understand in Texas why they don't allow casinos. Because all they do is go to Louisiana, Oklahoma, and everywhere else, and we just go spend our money out of state. And I really think that what we should be doing is, I picked up one of my old English sheepdogs from Kansas, and I was talking to somebody that works at one of the casinos up in Kansas, and she was saying it's run by the state, it generates money for, community uses, and I could never understand why we don't do that.
And it's good jobs too. I mean, I'm sure those dealers and pit bosses are making pretty good money.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Like a dealer is not easy to do. You got to be good at math. You got to know how the game works. So, I agree with you.
Well,
back to Bill Cosby. I just feel that I know it's a difficult situation. But basically, when they got to the Supreme Court, they said it was basically a mistrial?
Well, not a mistrial. They overturned it, the conviction, because it never should. The way that I guess the judges who got to it never should have gone to conviction, based on the fact that his civil testimony should not have been allowed to be given in criminal court. So it was a technicality.
Yeah.
Bottom line, it was a technicality.
I just feel for the women, but at the same time, I think there may be an element in that, but to sort of to go through that, it's
when does their responsibility fall on?
I would have been okay with it if the women knew what they was doing.
What about the lady that went back multiple times? I mean, come on. I mean,
no. I'm just trying to think.
So on the fourth time, this is wrong. You shouldn't.
But did she know there was drugs involved the fourth time?
He's giving to them. I mean, he's not like doping a drink or anything. He's giving it. Hey, have a few of these. Blah blah. That's what it was the 70s. I mean, come on. That's people were popping pills back then.
I know. I was too busy working for the Olympics at that point.
But my thing is, you weren't too offended to go back again. And then here we are 40 years later. Oh, it was wrong. It was wrong. Don't get me wrong. It was wrong. It was. I just don't feel like the man should have gone to prison.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked when I found out he'd been released.
Really?
I'll be honest with you. I was shocked. Absolutely shocked. And I didn't really, look into it too much because at the time I was going, just through some issues myself. But I was just shocked that it had got to that. So obviously there's more questions and that's why I was asking you the questions to try and find out more.
Yeah.
Being an Olympian and then, about Sha'Carri
Richardson
suspension, as we was talking about marijuana. What's your feeling on that?
Well, man, there is a rule. It's an anti-doping rule, and marijuana happens to be on the list. They don't sneak that in on you. They don't tell you, hey, oh, surprise, you got to do this too. They let you know that it's on the list. And she chose to do it anyways. So for that, you can't go. Period. It's a rule. You got to follow the rules. If you're representing,
I agree with that.
You're representing your country as an Olympian. You got to follow the rules.
And I agree with that, but I can't understand why marijuana's on the list.
Now that's a different argument
because it's not a performance. It's not a performance.
I don't disagree with you, but I think that's where people are having the argument. People are having the argument about marijuana being on the list, and that's not the argument. The argument is it's on the list already. That's a moot point. She shouldn't have done it. She decided that she wanted to do it. She suffers a consequence. Period. Does it need to be off the list? That's I'll need 6 one way, half a dozen the other. But the Olympic Committee are the ones that are actually going to be able to change that.
And one of the things that we're sort of going to mix into this, we're going to talk about the Sha'Carri Richardson suspension. Then we're going to talk about, there's 2 female athletes that are not allowed to compete, at the Olympics that are coming up, which isn't far away now, because of high testosterone levels. But we have got grown men competing with women or trans athletes. And I really think it's a real sort of mix-up, to be perfectly honest, because as an Olympian, I'll tell you, Russia's been one of the worst.
Doping?
Yeah, for doping in the past. And I really think, in the 70s and the 80s when we was competing, they was using, performance-enhancing drugs. And, to be perfectly honest, they've been doing it for years. Although nothing was ever said about it and done about it. That's sort of part of and I really think that discussion needs to happen at an international level. And I was actually looking this morning, and apparently Japan and Tokyo are setting up a state of emergency.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Because of the COVID thing, and the truth of them, the COVID-19, and it's like, it's so difficult with everything that they've got there. But I really think that how do you monitor, for trans athletes?
Well, it's not so much monitoring for trans athletes. I think if you're biologically a male or biologically a female, that should be enough to differentiate where you compete. To make it fair. Now, the unfortunate thing in this case, you got this. I think it was her name's Laura Hubbard is the weightlifter that is the trans athlete that was born a male and competing now against females in the weightlifting events in the Olympics. But you have 2 young ladies that aren't able to compete because they have elevated testosterone levels. Now, they're not saying that they are doping. They're just saying that the levels were too high. Yeah, this is the Laurel Hubbard. Don't look like a man to me. But anywho, that's just that's the athlete going to be competing. He'll be competing with the ladies at the events.
And she was born male. Born a guy, had it chopped off.
Born male. I don't know if it's gone that far, but she's 43 years old. So it's not like, she's 21 where she's just kind of grown into her muscles. You're 43 and you're able to compete, against, other ladies. But, it is what it is. She's competed before, though, in men events. But now she'll be competing against women.
See, that's the problem. That's the problem I've got. If you've competed as a man previously, then are you doing the trans athlete thing
So you can win?
To get an advantage.
Yeah.
That to me is what I think needs to be looked at. If you do something to try and give you the advantage, and it's not a natural advantage,
right?
I mean, I'll give you an example. Okay, in the 70s and the 80s, when we competed internationally, a lot of the Russians with the pair skaters, what they was doing various things. So especially the pair skaters. So the women would not go through puberty. So they would do things to delay the females going through puberty.
I heard about that.
So what would happen was they wouldn't put on weight.
They stay
the women
small.
were weighter. They stay small. And some of them, by all accounts, didn't reach puberty till like 20, 21.
Wow.
And that's why a lot of the Russians are so small. Now, if you look now, a lot of the Russian women aren't as small as they used to be.
Right.
You know, but I mean, but the doping has always been there. I mean, when we competed at Olympics, they would randomly pick. So what they would do is the first 4, I think it was mandatory doping. So you go pee in a cup, and they watch you pee in a cup, and literally people watch you pee in a cup.
Really?
You know, and then they would randomly do other people throughout the competition. You know, we competed internationally 6 years. I might have been chose to do doping maybe 10 times.
But it's not a surprise. You know that it can take place.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking to see if you're taking any
performance enhancing drugs, right?
And that's where I think I think the questions need to be asked and a decision needs to be made. If it's something that gives you the edge, that is not done in such a fair way, then I think that's when you should be disqualified. And, you know,
I don't disagree.
I agree with what you're saying about, I mean, when I was surprised, to be perfectly honest, to see that marijuana was on that list.
I want to say that it hasn't always been on there either. I think it's in comparison to the rest, I think it's newly added to the list. I don't know how long.
And recently, it was interesting because wasn't it the Supreme Court? Apparently, there was some marijuana case, and they says they can't make a decision, or it was thrown out or something. They were saying that, and now it's put a lot of the cities in a position where they can't enforce marijuana or fine.
Well, it may be, man, but you gotta look at it now. And again, Sha'Carri, she can't compete, but she's 21, so she'll get another opportunity to compete. You got a lot of people that are locked up for federal charges on marijuana, and now here it is. You got some states, even some of the states that they're from. These guys are locked up in prison, so we want to let her slide. Let her go and run.
I agree with that.
Let the guys out,
and
then she can go and run.
And
that's how I see it.
In all credit to her, you know, she came out and said, you know, I made a mistake.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, so she sort of admitted it from that point.
Yeah, kudos. I'm with that. I mean, she couldn't deny it, but I'm all for that. But it's just you just can't. I don't know. It just seems unfair to me. From many, they want to just let her slide. Oh, let her run. Let her do. Okay, let this guy out that's doing 30 years in prison for a drug that's now legal.
Right.
That's another topic. But hey, it's neither here nor there. That's my feeling.
Well, it is. I mean, I think it's something that obviously needs to come out and discussed. We're discussing it, and I think it does need to be discussed with the powers that be. I'm glad I'm not on that board making the decision, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
honest.
Absolutely. I wouldn't want to do it. Rob says there's a documentary on Netflix about named Icarus that talks about that Russian doping scandal.
Really?
So that might be. I haven't seen it. Ricky says it's a pretty good documentary. I like documentaries. That's mainly what I watch anyway. So if anything good that it covers the doping scandal,
yeah, there was a lot of things that went on in the 70s and the 80s. That a lot of countries, especially the Eastern Bloc countries, that were trying to do different things to, you know, to give people the edge. And then when they started doing dope control, then they started to do things like, delay puberty with some of the women and different things.
Okay.
So that's how they try to get around it, because in their life, going through the Eastern Bloc countries, so much depended on it. I mean, if they got good results, they got the fancy apartments. And
if not, it was the exact opposite.
If not, it was the opposite. You were put in the ghetto. I mean, so much depended on it. I had some Russian friends when I'm going through. We used to go to World Championships, and I couldn't talk to them if there was too many people around.
Really?
Oh yeah. They was watched.
Oh, okay. So just
by organisations.
So
and
tell us all that. Give us kind of that back. You hear stories about the Olympic Village and where the athletes stay. Is it as wild and crazy as they say it is?
No, there was two groups of people that were wild. And, to be perfectly honest.
The Brits and who else?
No, the Americans and the Canadians.
Of course.
Where the Americans were the ones that always led the party. I'll never forget. There were. I don't really want to mention too many names because he's.
Oh, you got some name droppers over here.
Because he's in a national capacity now in the United States Figure Skating Association.
Okay, we won't drop anybody in the grease.
And I will tell you that.
Be good, Scott.
When I went to one of my first World Championships, he came in and he said, "You know what you need to do? You need to come to room." I forget what the room was. And I went to the room party, and it was one of my first World Championships, and I walked in, and they were sitting down, and they were sniffing different substances.
What?
And then he said, "If you want a drink, just go ahead to the bathroom." And I went to the bathroom, and it was a bath full of ice with beer and vodka and alcohol, and you named it. You named the type of alcohol, and it was in that bath.
And this was during the games. Not after.
During World Championships. I'll even tell you, it was 19. I better not say, because then people can work out who he is. But let's just say it was early 80s in the World Championships.
Oh man, okay.
And there was two groups of people that was really in that room that used to lead all the parties. The Americans were wild. They were wild.
That doesn't surprise me. We kind of go over the top because our penalties here are, for lack of better words, are light in comparison to some of these countries. Kind of like you said, you perform and do well, they put you up in the nice penthouse or whatever.
Well, there was some amazing disciplined athletes. In all fairness, in that group, one of them was somebody that I still love to bits to this day, and I've got a lot of respect for, and that's a guy that and I love him. I love the guy. His name's Scotty Hamilton. He is just absolutely a class act. He was always, courteous and respectful and gracious and everything else. He was just a class act. And although I haven't seen him for years, I'll love the guy till I die because he was also courteous. And we were the new kids on the block at the time, and he'd sort of ask where you're from and all the other good, make you feel sort of part of it, and he's with another team, But I'm telling you, you want a party, just ask one of the Americans.
Call the Americans.
But a lot of the Eastern Bloc countries used to keep themselves to themselves. It was rumoured that, there was some of the people on the Eastern Bloc countries, they were members of different organisations. The women was watched very, very closely. Extremely closely.
You can ask Larry Nassar about that one. He'll answer that.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, but, and then, it all sort of changed, and it was sort of just the way it was, but it was definitely an experience.
But I think there's a reason that the Americans are more rowdy. And I mean, even like when you say they're like sniffing shit, the military, I don't know if you know this, the number one drug of choice for the U.S. military is cocaine.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it's because cocaine will only go through your system in a matter of days, like 1 or 2 days, and it's out.
And they can still function.
Yeah. And so what a lot of these guys do is they'll go and do their thing overseas or at their camp, and then they'll just come back and they will not be themselves. Like they will just be as far away from sobriety as possible for however long they're home. there's a deeper issue to be discussed there. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But there's a reason that Americans are like that. It's a very easy trend that you can see across the board. But yeah.
Man. Yeah. That's crazy. Hey, real quick before we move on, I wanted to mention these the two athletes that are unable to compete. Semenya and what was the other name? Semenya and Christine Mboma, I think, I guess is how you say it. They're from Namibia. 18-year-old females. They're unable to compete 400-meter run. So now, mind you, I think one of them is that one. Yeah, here we go. That's one of them. That's Semenya. No, she's also not unable. The 18-year-olds Christine Mboba and Beatrice Basiling, I think will not be allowed to compete due to high.
Who's telling them they can't compete? Is it their organisation?
Yeah, their Olympic committee is telling them, because everybody's getting tested right now before the games start. So their Olympic committee is telling them that they're unnaturally high levels of testosterone in there. So we know testosterone is a hormone,
right?
That we all have, but if it's extra high in a woman, it could raise some eyebrows. But didn't do the same for old Laurel. She'll be competing with the women. So, oh well. Why don't they just let them run with the men? Why can't we just do that, right?
I mean, if they're women, they should just be able to compete with the women.
Hey, it's like, come on, this is, I don't know, they're disqualified them, so it's unfortunate for it, but
that's like Florida is coming is doing a lot of legislation about stuff like this with like trans sports.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I don't think there's been a single woman ever, woman or trans person, period, to receive a college scholarship for athletics.
Not yet.
Yeah, and I don't think it'll ever happen, to be honest, because, I mean, I hope it does, but I don't think it will. It's just too controversial.
Well, yeah, because you look at the alumni boards, and there's going to be that one person on there that'll say, no, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. So I don't know, man. I'm a to the heart Christian, love all people. Don't want anybody to be disrespected or mistreated. I just feel like kind of what you said. If it gives you an unfair advantage, I mean, you're weightlifting. That's like, come on, that's not.
That's giving you a clear advantage.
Come on, it's
especially against the women if you're competing against women.
Exactly. That's just natural way it goes. Males are stronger than females. So, anywho, as we digress. Okay, man. So, Independence Day. So you're from old Great Britain over there.
I don't want to talk about Independence Day. We're just celebrating kicking the English butt.
So, it has become a bit of a controversial kind of topic, right? Because we know just June 19th for Black Texas slaves. That was a commemorated a holiday for them specifically, and a lot of people are claiming that as Independence Day per se. Now, this may not be a popular opinion, but I'll just say this: if you're a U.S. citizen of this country, Independence Day happens to be quote unquote on that particular day. That's the celebration of it. My father served, retired, and now God rest his soul in the U.S. military, and I respect him along with many of his colleagues that fought for our country, and with honor. And for me, I take pride in being an American, and I'm not out, having some big old running the flag down the street or anything, but it's Independence Day. That's the celebration. That's what it is, and that's what it's been. I think it's become this negativity because, of course, we know in 1776 people that looked like me were not independent at all. So the name Independence Day in itself, speaking of the country, but not the people. not everyone was created equal at that time. So I think that's where some of the controversy comes in with folks, not really wanting to even celebrate Independence Day or calling,
So your basic point is Independence Day, is the Independence Day celebration for all citizens?
Yeah. I mean, and I think it's kind of subjective. You might feel like that it is. Some feel like it is not. I won't celebrate it. I won't have no parts of it. We don't celebrate Halloween. That's just our personal choice, our conviction that we don't do Halloween. But many other people do. I don't knock them for it. That's cool. So I feel the same way. If it's Independence Day, you don't want to celebrate it. Hey, that's your choice.
Yeah. I'm an American citizen now, and I'm proud of it. But I really think it's sort of. I'm going to compare it to Christmas Day.
Okay.
Some people of different religions don't celebrate Christmas Day.
Absolutely, same, yeah, exactly.
So I really think it's your choice whether you celebrate Independence Day, because I think it means different things to different people. So I really feel that, and one of the things that frustrates me, more so in America than Europe, and I know I've said this before, is over here there seems to be more animosity. This side of the pond, there seems to be more animosity if people don't agree with one another.
Man, are you giving baptism after that sermon? Man, you hit the nail on the head.
And that's the part that sort of upsets me with anything. To me, it makes no difference if you're a Democrat or Republican. Let's all try and make a bit of sense out of it.
Absolutely.
But I really feel that, and because you've got a faction, if you want to, over here that turn around and say, well, if you don't celebrate Independence Day, then you're not a patriot.
Right.
And you don't care about this.
And
continent.
if you do, some will even label you racist.
And that's what I think the problem is. I think people should respect one another's point of view.
It used to be that way. It used to be a point where you could have different opinions.
So why do you think it's changed?
We got a bunch of crybabies out here. Jack, what do you think, man?
Oh, I can tell you why it has changed.
Why has it changed?
Well, I mean, people aren't held accountable, right? So while we might be sane people, right, you have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, whatever you think about her, she's literally saying that there's Jewish space lasers shooting down, like, that are funded by George Soros. You know what I mean?
What?
That are shooting down. You can Google this shit. Like, it's real. She says that there are Jewish space lasers that are funded by George Soros that are shooting down at Earth. And it's just like, the more shit you have over time with people doing stuff like that, and it doesn't change, people are going to start getting feisty over like what is out there and what's not.
So why Jewish? I mean, not to change the subject, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know what her whole I don't know what her whole conspiracy is, but
I don't understand.
But it's just like, over time, you have people saying stuff like that, and they're not being held accountable. And you can say the same about racism, white supremacy, blah blah blah. And so people get more fragile in what they believe because they want to hold people. They want to hold you accountable. Where if they think you're, for example, right? If I were to sit here and say I hate all black people, you would try to convince me I'm wrong, right? Because that's a terrible idea,
right?
And I think that's the approach they take with Independence Day and stuff. It's like, they're not necessarily trying to change your mind. They're just trying to test your beliefs and see what you really think. Because, I mean, you get this on both sides as well, right? On the left and the right. You're going to come across and talk to that one guy who's just spewing trigger words that they see on CNN or Fox.
Absolutely.
And those are the people, I think, that when you talk about these things and you're questioning them, that's why you're trying. Those are the people that get bullied around, because it's like, you're not actually forming an opinion. You're just trying to take a side and spew information and spread
and
it.
That's, and to back up what you just said, Jack, it's absolutely typical. What you're saying is, for example, it's like, when the Capitol was was invaded, or whatever you want to call it, on January the 6th, people listened to such BS to the point where they actually organized trips, go up to the Capitol, and just cause chaos like they did, and and people die. That's the part that's so, upsetting to be, regardless of what side of the fence you're on. Yeah. And I do think that the people that need to be held accountable, in my opinion, are the politicians.
Oh, yeah, because they're supposed to be for the people, right?
They're supposed to be representing the people.
They're supposed to be.
I mean, as you told me, it's a republic, and that's how it should be working.
Well, here's another thing. They are representing the people. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she is representing her people. Now, the problem is her people are like that, So it's like it goes much deeper than just the politicians, because she had to get there somehow.
Yeah,
she didn't just show up to work and take it, like a dictatorship. She got elected. She got campaign money. She had PAC money. So
conversation, man, it's almost a dead art at this point. People don't sit down like this and just talk. You can have a conversation and get up and you disagree, shake hands, go about your business. Yeah. We don't got to fight about it. But I feel like where the turn has come, much of what Jack has said, people aren't held accountable. Not held accountable for what they say. People,
and do you feel that's got worse with social media? Because that's what
it definitely gets worse. And you got these keyboard warriors. People just say whatever. And those guys, they're brave because nobody can go and punch them in the mouth. So they'll sit right there and they'll say whatever. And
there's no consequences.
There's nothing. No consequence at all. They'll make a fake account and say whatever they got to say, and you'll never know who it is. Period. Not that I'm condoning punching in the mouth. I'm just saying.
But the part that's interesting about all of that is, the defense that social media are saying is that they're not putting stuff and they're not putting wording, not stuff, I shouldn't use that word. They're not putting in other words, people are expressing their freedom of speech on social media. All right, so they're not the ones that's, passing the message, if you want to. But the truth of the matter is, if an individual had said something, you understand, or a company had said something, then they can be held liable,
From what they put on social media, you mean?
But that's what the social media companies are saying, that there's no liability for them because people are expressing their opinions. And I think that's why it's very difficult from a point of view of freedom of speech. And then people expressing their opinions, and they could be saying horrible stuff, which they do.
They do, and
that's sort of what's leading us down this dark alley. And I thought it was interesting how Mr. Trump, and I'll give him a bit of courtesy by calling him Mr. Trump, but he's suing He's suing Google.
Well, since you guys brought it up, I know it's not scripted on there, but
it's all right. What we got?
Hit it, because this is perfect topic right here. He's suing the companies that pretty much shut him off towards the end of his presidency. And it's funny because there's a lady at my work. Uh-huh. She's like super conservative, and she says herself, I don't even know how to work YouTube. I told her, I forgot what we were talking about, but I was like, just YouTube it. YouTube has the answer to everything. You want to learn how to cook meth? It's on YouTube. You want to learn how to sell real estate? It's on YouTube.
Right.
She's like, oh, I didn't know you can search videos on YouTube. And then a day later, she's telling me how Trump should have never been banned off of social media. It's like, dude, you don't even know how to work YouTube, right? So if you were like an internet techie, cool, it's a different discussion. But right. You're sitting here telling me he shouldn't have got banned off of YouTube or off any social media, and you don't even know how social media works.
Right. No, I don't disagree, and I have an interesting side to this. So kind of to the point to where you said about them relinquishing any liability because they can't control what someone puts on there. Well, I call BS on that one, because if you can censor someone, if you can censor someone to take them off a platform completely, then you might be able to have some liability, share some liability in it. Yeah. Because there
absolutely,
are
and I think that's part of the problem, is because I think that's what's leading to the problem where there's no accountability.
Yeah.
And the other side of the coin is I was reading something the other day, and they were saying that the problem is what Google is saying is, and what Facebook are saying, that they've got that for them to track what's being said. All right, they would just need too many staff because there's so many people posting stuff on Facebook.
They got bots now. They can set that crap up now. They can do that.
But the truth of the matter is, in my opinion, if you're making billions of dollars, then employ some people. Give some people some jobs.
Yeah.
If that's what it takes. I mean,
Trump's not the first person to get banned off of Alex Jones,
Steven Crowder.
I mean, they've banned a bunch of people on it. Now, it's usually conservative folks that they're banning, but it's neither here nor there. It don't matter. But he's not, and it's class action, so I'm assuming that he's going to try to get some other people together in there that have been banned. They shut down a whole app. Parler was a whole app that was all, conservative ideas and, just kind of people talking back and forth, blah, 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 blah. Completely gone, dissolved, disappeared. So, I don't know, they have more control than what they say.
I joined that app, and some of the shit I was seeing on there.
Oh, bro, that's why I joined it, because people. Here's what I lean conservative.
Who closed it down?
Not necessarily Republican. Well, Apple wouldn't allow it in the stores.
So
so if you can't download it, then.
So that's why phones are so popular, right? It's because there's actually another big lawsuit with the game maker. But like with Apple, their app store is like the Amazon for their phone. So if you take an app off the app store, you're shutting down a business.
Absolutely.
Pretty much.
Absolutely.
And so that's what they did. They took the app off. We're not going to support it anymore. We can't. And I mean, you could even say with January 6th, that's Mark Zuckerberg is held accountable for that, because most of that stuff was created through Facebook,
right?
Through Facebook groups and stuff.
But he wants to say, "Oh no, it wasn't."
Yeah, he said I banned him.
To me, it's a get out of jail for him. I mean, it shouldn't be. I think he does need to be held responsible for part of.
When you get that big, you have some responsibility, and whether you want to accept it or not, you do have some responsibility to be able to try to control how things happen, how it takes place. So, even and totally off the list, but. OnlyFans. Did you hear about them going to more of a third-party kind of setup where it's not just this sexual explicit? They want to get a different look. We don't want to just be all just about that, because that's a certain sect of people. But just like the certain pornography industries, everybody doesn't watch pornography, and that's mainly what that platform has been. So a lot of those OnlyFans girls, they're gonna be working at Wendy's or Popeye's Chicken or somewhere here soon.
And he said that when he created that app, it wasn't for porn. He was like, I just wanted to make a way for creators to get paid directly.
Yeah. Without all the middle people.
Yeah, and he was just like, and the porn industry is just so on top of their technology that they scooped it up instantly, and it was like ants on candy. But yeah, I think that's a good move. I think OnlyFans is going to be a big business.
I think so too. And because when you can cut out anybody trying to get their little piece of the pie, if you have content that you're giving out and you want to be, I mean, if it's proprietary stuff, of course, you can make somebody pay for it. Look, you can pay for it, and I don't have to pay this dude and pay that dude and all this other kind of crap. So I think it makes sense.
Sounds like cryptocurrency.
Hey.
Sounds just like cryptocurrency.
But.
Oh man!
So as I said to you, to me it should be a choice. That's what I believe anyway. With Independence Day, I think it should be your choice whether you celebrate it.
It is. It is definitely your choice. I will say this: although my people weren't necessarily free in 1776, I will free a pack of ribs and a brisket and some chicken and throw it on a barbecue grill and cook it up on 4th of July every year, because I do enjoy that time. And it was kind of cool this year because it fell on a Sunday. They got that extra day.
You got the extra day.
Oh yeah, that was. Hey, I'll take that.
And some people.
I bet nobody went to work on Monday.
I was surprised to see the U.S. Postal Service working on Monday after that.
They should work. They're almost out of business themselves.
So you're allowed a day off, but you won't give one to all the workers.
They were off Sunday.
Well, so was you.
I was. But I choose to do what I do. They choose to do what they do. Hey man, I got a little bone in me for the post office, man. I have family that works for the post office, so I can't knock them completely. But man, these guys, they're speaking of not being held accountable.
Yeah.
You can go into the post office and pay for an overnight delivery, extra overnight delivery. Get the receipt. Doesn't matter if they don't deliver it overnight. Guess what? Oh well. Sorry, we had a backup. We had some issues. You're not getting any money back. It's like, come on, man. Don't get me started on as I digress on the post office.
I think they do. I think they're as good a job as they can do. But there you go.
Yeah.
It's a difficult job.
All right, so let's talk about this ransomware, man. Speaking of not doing a good job, why is it that we're always one step behind these hackers?
Especially with technology.
Spend all our money on self-defense. That's why.
These hackers, you literally don't even need tanks and planes and crap now. They can destroy you from behind a computer.
Yeah. And it's significantly cheaper. So like you can send a whole like fleet of battleships into like the Gulf of Armenia or something, and it would cost you like $1 billion. You can hack it like China's entire infrastructure for like 30 grand, 40 grand.
Well, the part that's interesting about that, to sort of add to that, did you know is it the B-2 bomber? To build one of them is $2 billion.
$2 billion?
$2 billion.
Oh my.
And then and then also there's something called, I think it's the XB-47 or something, or it's a fighter jet. It's something that America's working on. Each one of them is $1 billion.
That's crazy.
And then we get hacks like this.
So I watched a movie this weekend called Eagle Eye. It's an old movie. It's from, I want to say probably 2007, 2008 maybe. Shia LaBeouf, Anthony Mackie, a couple other guys that are actually in it. But it's this thing called Area or something. It's basically this computer that was created, and it was able to hack into every system. It was at the airlines, the traffic lights, the vehicles, that are, driving on the freeways that had computers on. That thing was created, and it kind of went rogue, basically, is what it was talking about. The computer itself went rogue and just kind of jacked up everything, and they had to kill it.
And the people that hacked into this, what country were they from?
Oh, it was all people from the States. It was all from the ransomware.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't even know if they pinpointed who actually did it.
China, but if I say China and it's wrong, it's
what I want to know is does well, I'm sure they do, but perhaps they don't like to blast it out. But I'm sure America has the same capabilities, I would have thought.
Man,
why don't
we think we're so far ahead of some of this stuff? These guys, they are eons in front of us. Yeah. I don't see anything that says that it's.
I mean, they talk about a lot of this with. They have the capabilities to do it, but they just don't seem to want to do stuff like that.
Well, I think the ransom was what, like...
It started off at
75 million or something
70 million.
And
then they wanted it in Bitcoin. And then they lowered it to 50 million. I don't know, has it been lowered more than that, Jack?
I have no idea. But I mean, did you guys ever play like contact sports?
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but my coach always said defense is the best offense.
It is.
Now, if you look at the United States, are they playing defense or are they playing offense? You can make the argument they're playing defense because they're putting all the money towards the military, but their bases are all over the world, like all over the world. You can probably go to any country and you'll find a U.S. base there.
Right.
There's a few less bases in Afghanistan at the moment.
I guarantee you there's not. They might tell you that, but there's probably
they're still there.
There's probably more than there ever has been.
There's still people there.
Or even more American influence. But if they just put that towards their infrastructure, like towards computer infrastructure.
Well, it's kind of to your point. I think if you're going to a gunfight, and all you're going out to do is buying the best and beautiful, best knives.
Yeah.
Man, you're gonna lose. Yeah, okay, yeah, those knives look really good. They look nice, and if I get close to you, you probably can stick me with it. But I can shoot you from across the room.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we are with that. It's just, I don't know. It's odd that we.
Russian cyber criminals.
Like if you can shoot someone from across the room, right? Just hack the computer. Because you're not. If you're shooting a missile, you're not getting in the missile.
Right.
You're not pointing the missile.
Right.
You're using computers.
Computers.
So you just hack it
with precise locations and coordinates.
I tell you what scares me more than anything else in relation to this ransomware attack is if they tap into infrastructure.
Oh, they've done it.
Right, they've done that.
Did you hear about?
We're talking water, like you said, traffic lights and stuff like that.
They literally have hacked a water system, a water treatment facility.
That was one of them. It was some internet services, a water facility.
What
else was it?
Florida hack. Yeah, and they like changed the level in the water for some element that's like supposed to be poisonous.
Oh yeah, it's crazy out there, Steve. It's crazy, man. They're trying to
Sodium
do it.
hydroxide, the main ingredient in liquid drain cleaners, is used to control water acidity and remove metals from drinking water in treatment plants. Fly poisoning can cause burns, vomit, and severe pain and bleeding. On February 5th, a plant operator for the city of about 15,000 on Florida's west coast saw his cursor being moved around on his computer screen, opening various software functions that control the water being treated. The intruder boosted the level of sodium hydroxide in the water to 100 times higher than normal.
Wow.
Good job he was at the computer.
Man, tell me about it. That's scary, though.
Yeah, it is.
Like if he was making like $7 or $8 an hour, I bet you he wouldn't have been on the computer, he'd been on his phone.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, you got to take care of the people who are doing
Pay the people that's trying to, watch out for you, man. Yeah. For real. Yeah, it's a little scary.
But I wonder whether America's doing nothing about it or they're doing something about it and they're not telling people what they're doing.
Oh, well, of course. That happens all the time. You don't know. I'm not doing it.
But I wish they'd do more, whichever it is.
I wish they would just do some ransomware and put that $1 billion in my bank account real fast. That's what we can go shopping. I'll take that windfall. Yeah, it's
Did they ever pay?
Probably. Just print $50 million. That's their solution. Is just print the $50 million.
Give it to them. Now the Bitcoin is another deal, but I don't know
because they can't track that.
Yeah. Well, they also can't print $50 million worth of Bitcoin. They have to pay for $50 million worth of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So
that's actually has some real type of value to it. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, Amazon was taken down. I think I had heard that Amazon was one of the ones that was taken down. A bunch of news sites were offline. BBC was offline. Bloomberg News, CNN, thank goodness. Those guys were offline. They should have kept them offline, but whatever.
Was Fox taken down?
Oh no, Fox was all good. Guardian, Financial Times, New York Times, and Reddit were all affected in that deal. It's scary, man. It's scary to think about. Got some knucklehead behind
It's a scary world that we seem to be going into at the moment with all these things that are sort of going on. It's just...
I don't think it's any more scary than it was 10 years ago. You just know about it. It's like the whole ignorance is bliss.
That's
sort of falling back to what we said, all right? I'm going back to what you said about the whole Bill Cosby thing, all right? I wouldn't like to date in this modern day and age.
I couldn't. If something were to happen to my wife, I wouldn't. I'd just be single.
I mean, it's that in itself is a different scenario. I mean, some things we used to do when we was dating, were sort of wild. But the truth of the matter is, I couldn't do it now.
You don't know who you're getting these days.
Yeah, that's right. But no, the ransomware attack, I think, is completely frightening. And I think, as I said, I would like to know the other half of the story. With the whole, to see if America are doing anything about it. And perhaps they are hitting other countries with ransomware. I don't know.
I don't know. Who
Perhaps
knows?
they're tapping into different systems, and if they want to press the enter button, but they're saving it for a rainy day. But I think something's got to be done to try and stop it.
Agreed.
So what do you
sir.
think, Jack? Do you think stopping these people getting into the systems and being defensive on that end is going to help? Back to your quote.
Yeah.
What you do is you find out one of them and you hire him.
Yes.
Hire that dude.
Well, also, like, you can look at, I think back in, 2014, somebody from a Bitcoin exchange, they stole, $8 million worth of Bitcoin, and they tracked it by just seeing where they sent it. And so, you can do the same with all this, just track where the information is going to. But the problem is, they don't, the people who are in charge don't understand it, so you can't do something you don't understand. So
exactly.
when they see a ransomware attack, whoever the local governor or whatever is probably oh, just update the computer. It's no, it's not. That's not how it works. You have to set up things that protect your servers.
Right. These old dudes up there don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and it's just and if you look at the technology and the infrastructure that we have versus China, it's insane. It's just absolutely insane. Now, China obviously super communist, and
right.
we don't want to go down that road. But they have facial recognition where if you're a murder suspect and you're walking down the street, they will find you.
Right.
They will find you.
Everybody over there gets a people score.
They have a credit system. Yeah, that's not good.
It's they have really a bit bad. If you cross the road when you shouldn't be, recognizes your face and gives you.
What?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Man, that's a little overreach.
Wherever you go, they know where you're going, what time you're going.
Yeah. Now imagine what they're not telling you, right?
Exactly.
And so even with the United States, it's you see what we have, and then what are they not telling you? There's no way it's even remotely close to what China's doing. And China is known for mining Bitcoin and stuff.
I could never understand in Houston about 10 years ago, they had a vote at the election. It was something that was put on the ballot, and it said about putting red light cameras.
Oh yeah, they shot that down.
I know, shot it down.
It passed, and then they took it down.
And I could never understand why that happens, because
why they took it down?
Yeah, because I had a daughter that was hit by, a car coming across a red light. And he could have killed her. I mean,
well, I would have to be in
what do they call it? A walking red light? Is that what they call it? I mean,
just the red light cameras.
Like we was talking about earlier on, there's no responsibility, there's no accountability for somebody going across a red light. What can you do about it?
My wife got red light cameras in a small little town. I can't even remember the name of the town. Got two of them, 12 minutes of each other. And these people didn't even have a system for me to pay online. You either had to take it in there or mail it in, a check. So I think that's ridiculous. You got a red light camera, but you don't even have an electronic system to take my card online. That's ridiculous.
No, I agree.
And back to the infrastructure thing, because I was looking at renewing my license yesterday, and to send money to Trek, you can't send cash. You can't pay online. You have to send them a check or a money order via mail. How stupid.
That's ridiculous.
That in itself, me as a techie, looking to do the most efficient things possible, that doesn't even make me want to get involved in the business, because it's the main guy that I have to go through, not us, because at the end of the day, I really work for them, because they can shut my license off at any second.
Right.
It's going to take me 5 days just to send them a payment, where I could literally send $5 to England in a matter of an hour. It's the craziest stuff, and it's where's the money going? Because you're making money, Trek. You're making money. I know you are.
They're definitely making money.
The city has the money to make payment gates for your credit card. So that's what the answer is.
And then politicians can't decide on their infrastructure bill.
What they say? Oh no, we're not going to do credit cards. $2 for each transaction. Yeah. What?
Yeah, but when we took on HOA management, we went onto an online system. And we had people coming in and saying they were older people.
It costs money to make money, man.
And they turned around and said, well, I haven't even got internet.
What?
Seriously, yeah. I haven't got internet, so, I'd rather bring a check in. And from an accounting standpoint, it's an awful lot easier online.
Definitely. Definitely a lot easier.
To account for it, to reconcile it, and all the other good stuff that comes with that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, hey, man, moving right along, this is something that I have felt strongly about for a long time. And for a number of different reasons. The first reason I would say, man, they stopped making NCAA football on the video game so long ago, and it was just such a happy, momentous time for me in life where I can actually play that game, but they haven't made one in God knows how long. But these guys, these athletes, college athletes, tens of thousands of them, working, we call it, working on Saturdays and some Fridays.
14-hour days.
Yes, all going. Some going without. Those are the likes of Jameis Winston having to break into some place and steal crab legs to eat because he was hungry one time. That should never be happening to these college athletes. So they have won the fact that they can get paid and compensated for the work that they put in on the field, and I couldn't be happier for them.
They should be paid. Absolutely.
They definitely should be
I'll
paid.
tell you something from a practical standpoint. When I was competing as an Olympian, and we was amateur status, I gave up after Olympics for one reason and one reason only, because I couldn't afford to carry on. And we was competing against the Russians again, who were all in the army.
But you got a cool free jacket out of it.
What's that?
You got a cool Olympic jacket out of it.
Yeah.
And then you sort of, you can go after it, and it's just nuts.
It is.
And then the thing with the college guys is the colleges are making millions of dollars.
Exactly.
Well, right
and then,
here,
even the coaches get paid millions of dollars.
the NCAA made $1 billion in the 2016 to 17 school year.
$1 billion.
75% of that revenue coming from TV and marketing related to March Madness. So 75% of that was March Madness.
So that's 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It's double now.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
It's easily double now. And you can't give these kids a little bit. Now, I'm not saying making them millionaires or whatever, but make it open for if McDonald's wants to let me put a patch on my jersey or, go do a commercial for them, that is okay. Because I can make that money and put it in my pocket, pay for my schooling, we'll be good to go.
You're just starting your own business.
That's it. The excuse that they gave why they didn't want to do it? Because we don't pay college athletes.
You just don't.
We just don't pay them.
Right. But
Okay, why though? That's not a reason. That's so stupid to me.
what they do in Europe now, though, with like amateur sports, they put the money, or you can get sponsorships, and they put the money in a trust fund.
I'm even okay with that because at least they can.
And basically, there's a you can take it out, obviously, for your coaching expenses or whatever, but you're allowed your living expenses. It's just a case of going through the trustee. And anything that's left at the end of it, when you're an amateur, guess what happens to it? You get to keep it.
I'm okay with that.
They
Even
release it to the athlete, and they're on their own.
Let me see if I can do this real quickly.
And it's a little bit like, what do they call these vets that they have? These vets that go into wars and they suffer from PTSD, and then they have bipolar disorder.
Yep.
And they put a fiduciary in charge. That's I think maybe a way to do that. But no, the guy should be able to eat. And it's we was doing 14-hour days when we was training. And it was tough. And you see all your buddies, you know, same age, going around, driving cars, enjoying themselves, going out Friday night, having a few beers, and then here you are, is struggling your butt off, making sacrifices, you know.
With the less than 1% of chance of going professional.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not, you know, and then, you know, I ended up working beyond a bar on a Friday night and a Saturday night.
Yep.
Just to get a bit of money to, you know, feed myself, to be perfectly honest. I was lucky enough to have parents that would support me. But, you know, some of them athletes aren't as lucky as that.
Yeah, I was, I just looked it up. There's 460,000 NCAA athletes. Now, that's across the board, every sport, I'm assuming. But we know that football and basketball are the ones that bring in the revenue for these college institutions. So that $1 billion was marketed. That's just basketball.
Wow.
According to that, 75% of that from marketing and television related to March Madness. So $750 million just from basketball. Not including the football portion of it. So you're talking about, if you take 460,000, let's say $1 billion, that's about $2,200 for each student to get some monies. That's just on the $1 billion for the one basketball.
Yeah.
So it's money there to give them, and not saying that you got to be giving in a lump sum. I would have killed for someone to send me $150 a month when I was in college. Just send me a little bit. I had a drawer full of ramen noodles that I was sick of eating, and it's like, man, if I just had a little bit of change. But what they do, you go to school. If you're on a scholarship, you know it's renewable annually. And then you have your meal plan that you gotta be on. But they got these credit card companies. They'll let them come on campus and sell you these credit cards. And then before you know it, you're running up your credit card to try to live. By the time you get out of school, you got credit lines that you got to pay off. You got student loans you got to pay off. Man, it's a trap, bro.
Yep.
It is.
It is a trap.
But NCAA athletes should be paid.
Definitely should be. Well, they will be
paid.
They will be. As a matter of fact, one of our own, De'Eric King, who actually played at Manville High School and also played at U of H here, he's got like 4 or 5 endorsement deals already, like within a couple of hours, because he's going to go high in the draft for the NFL. He's in Miami, play for the Miami Hurricanes right now, but he will. He's already garnered some deals. Here's a question for me though. Reggie Bush, does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
Remember, he had to relinquish his Heisman Trophy because he received compensation. I think his mom got a truck or a car or something like that. So do we give it back to him?
Yeah, he should get that back for sure. That'd be the right thing to do.
That'd be the right thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Give it back to him, man. I mean, now that you passed this, hey, give the man his trophy back. I don't know if they'll do it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they're legalizing weed in different states, but
exactly.
You know how it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know it's
like, if we get a man his trophy, come on, give it to him. But yeah, that's I was glad for the students to be able to do that, and hopefully some of these software engineers can go ahead and get working on a video game again. The college games are always fun, man. They're always fun to play.
As long as the money gets to the right people. That's the thing. That's the sort of thing that worries me a little bit.
Wonder how much the CEO of NCAA, is that what it would be?
Yeah,
I'm surprised though how many millions of dollars some of these coaches are paid for.
Oh yeah, they get a lot.
You know, for
$2.7 million base
salary.
This is
plus
just
the bonuses.
Yeah, this is just a random Google thing, so it could be wrong,
but let's say it's half of it. $1.3 million that this man would be getting. Oh, that's USA Today, so that should be 2.7 million total compensation
for 2018. Yeah, it's saying 2.7 pretty much everywhere. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. He won't throw a football. He won't bounce a basketball. He won't swing a bat. He won't do any of that. But that's what he's going to walk away with.
And he definitely doesn't do 14-hour days.
No, he does not. No, he does not. Mark Emmert. Oh, well.
He even extended his contract, look.
They did. through 2025. December 2025. So he'll be around. He will definitely be around. Excuse me. Oh well, we'll see some good things.
So what's your update on tropical storm Elsa?
Man, it's got my mom stuck in Savannah. Man, she was trying to get back home today. Actually, she called me trying to get her another flight. It's moving up that East Coast pretty well. There's a lot of rain headed up there. Oh, yep. There, down there. There's Savannah. There it is.
Yeah. Because it moves.
They canceled all the flights because of the way they have to fly to get down here. They just canceled flights, and he was stuck over there.
Because the track it changed, didn't it go more to the west?
Well, a little bit.
Because apparently at one time where it was actually going up the coast, they reckon it was going to go a little bit west of there.
Looks like it stayed on it though.
I think it did as well.
Those guys are educated guessers. They don't never know. Anyways, they just they guess on what happens,
edging their bets. All they're doing. And then of course, they took the condo down that sort of fell down, and they So apparently that was a good decision to make.
Well, some of this rain,
I was worried it
didn't help. But I think the death toll was at like 60. The last I looked.
It's going up though. It'll be
it's going to continue.
It'll be 150 or something. Yeah. It'll be. But apparently they decided to take it down, and it was a good decision to take it down because since they took it down, then it fell a particular way, which meant they could get heavier machinery in.
If they didn't do that, I mean, the integrity of the other side of the building was compromised anyway. So it was just a matter of a time. I forgot. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were just saying it's just moving so slow. It's like, what? You can't just go in and bulldoze this stuff. There might be, some people in there. At least you don't want to ravage the bodies by going in there. But yeah, they demolished the rest of it.
You've got to feel,
it's terrible. It's terrible, and people are still looking. And I thank God and pray blessings over them that they can continue to persevere because. The weather doesn't help when it's raining. I think it's past them now, but it definitely doesn't help.
There was
in the elements.
There was a guy actually, a Greek kid, who went to Jack's school that was killed
in the building.
In the building.
Oh wow!
Yeah, there was one.
Did they release his name?
One young gentleman.
He was a Houston native.
Yeah, he was.
I didn't hear about that. Yeah. That's terrible.
Yeah, his family originally from Houston, and unfortunately, he was one of the victims.
I think they said there's still like 80 some odd people missing.
Yeah.
On it, so it's just a matter of time before we hear.
He was a Greek descendant. Ruler and Ryan, who do 104 KIB in Houston. She actually used to go to St. Thomas Episcopal, and she was the one that I was driving in one morning, and she mentioned, he was in the building.
Oh wow!
It was very, very sad. It is, especially for so young as well. Apparently, he was over there visiting family. So, I'm glad they took the other side of the building down, especially with that hurricane coming in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if it had gone the wrong way, it could have put them even further behind. And made it even longer for them, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. Anyway, the good news for the meeting is lumber prices are going back down.
Hey, man, that is good news. I think they said 41% it dropped last month. It went down, but guess what? So, doesn't matter. You're going to pay what you're paying for these houses.
I said to you,
they are not going to regress. They're not going back. You're going to pay this money for these houses, period. Don't get your hopes up. Don't get that lumber price only matters to builders. Yeah. So it's just going to increase their margin because they've convinced us now that we can pay more. Just like anything else. Yeah. Gas prices, food prices are up. They're going to stay up. It's just going to, it's just more margin for the people that are bringing it in. It's crazy.
New home build prices
they're ridiculous. They are ridiculous.
And there's, we had a client that bought a new home in your area.
Okay.
And they what they basically done was because we knew what the home sold previously and what somebody paid in the same floor plan, same everything. The month before had sold. We made an offer on the house for $35,000 less than what we made the offer on this month. They said exactly what you said, James. So what? That's the market price.
That's the price. You pay it, or we'll get the next guy that comes in.
It's a comparative market.
Yeah.
In real estate, lumber doesn't really affect the fact that you paid X amount of dollars.
It doesn't. It's just going to affect the margins for the builders. That's it. They make more money because lumber, when they were doing year over year, from April to April, 600% increase. 600% increase in lumber prices. So they pass that on to the consumer. Crazy.
And it's still
down economics. It all goes down to the consumer.
Oh yeah, right. The bad stuff too.
Capitalism.
That's really what it is, man. You get convinced that you can pay more, and then you pay more. Then you just roll with it. Because gas prices, man, they're continuing to go up, and they're gonna be up. We'll probably get to $4. And shoot, what are we gonna do? We're just gonna go get that gas.
Inflation starts.
That's it. I don't know what your boy's gonna do.
Just unbelievable,
JB.
Things got up, and to talk about, the price of homes in general. I told you that my mum unfortunately isn't doing too well in England. She had a stroke, and we called a real estate agent up, and basically called them and says, okay, we need to put the house up for sale because regardless of what the propaganda that these tell them in the US about free healthcare, it's not free anymore.
Right.
And the residential nursing home where she's going to stay is $7,500 a week.
What?
Yeah, $7,500 a week.
Is she in Buckingham Palace?
24-hour, 7 residential care. That's the price.
Oh my word!
It's about £5,000 a week.
I feel like it's the same down here, like that cost.
Yeah, because she owns a home, they put a lien on the home, and if you don't pay it, guess what happens?
Take the house.
What they do is they actually take the estate. They take control of the estate.
Got you.
So that's what I'm trying to fight
at the moment. That's a little different.
So I'd rather sell the house.
If there was equity there to pay the lien, could you?
Oh, the house is paid. The house is paid for.
But if you sold it to someone else, and you could just pay whatever she owed, will they allow you to reap the rest of the proceeds? Do they just take it?
Well, it was interesting.
That sounds a little gangster.
I was talking to an attorney who is in charge of our estate in the UK. His name's Roger, and basically I said to Roger, okay, if I'd transfer the house in my name, would that make it different for Mum? Because then she owns nothing.
Right.
And he turned around and says, yeah, if it was more than 7 years
3 years ago. Right. There's always
over here it's 3 years.
3 years here. There's a look back period, yeah.
But in the UK it's 7 years.
Wow.
So, I'll be honest with you, I'm all for sort of paying my way. So in all fairness, the house isn't important to me. But basically, when I was going back to my original point, they were saying about the house prices in the UK have gone up unbelievably as well.
I believe it.
And there's less land over there than what there is here.
Well, I think that makes it worse because you can't build. That's why stuff is so high in New York and those northeast areas. There's nowhere to build.
So, and I was surprised when they told me how much the house was worth over there. And it just so happens that I know another real estate agent that used to go, to the ice rink as a buddy, and he was telling me that, the prices of the houses are just, and there's qualified buyers ready to go out there and buy the homes. So when we get the house ready, I don't think it's going to take too long to sell.
Hopefully, I can get that squared away.
It's just amazing. So let's talk about Mr. Weiselberg from the Trump CFO.
Yeah. So he turned himself in?
Yeah, he turned himself in. And he's admitted.
He was like
admitted
getting
all his benefits.
He was getting paid like under the table or something, right? Off the books.
No, he was basically, what they was doing was paying for his kid's school. The Trump organization was paying for his kid's school and paying for different things, but then they was claiming it as a business expense. That's how he managed to keep his tax bill down. And then Mr. Trump came out and said, well, my family's been doing that for 50 years. I don't think that was necessarily a wise thing to say. Because it's not in, but at the end of the day, it comes down to, well, it's outside of the tax code. If he had declared it and said, okay, this is what, it's like some of these people that work for $2 an hour or whatever it is, they work for $2 an hour, at the restaurants, and they get paid tips, then they have to pay tax on the tips.
Right.
It's the same sort of thing.
Same deal, same scenario.
But they wasn't paying taxes on his tips. And his tips was some of the high-end schools,
So I guess
they reckon 1 year it was 1.5 million above what he was being paid.
What are they basing that on, though? That's what I was going to ask. So how do you base that on?
On the value of the gifts or the little benefits he was getting.
To cover that cost.
Yes.
Well,
here it is. Look,
I don't know how it'll stand up.
That Weisselberg's former daughter-in-law, Jennifer Weisselberg, had spoken multiple times with investigators, and that Vance was investigating whether Trump employees, including the Weisselbergs, were able to avoid paying taxes in exchange for fringe benefits such as an apartment.
Oh, she's cut out of the wheel. We're done with her.
I mean, I would take an apartment over pay.
Right.
Don't get me wrong.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I can live here? Yeah, sure.
8 hours? Yeah, you got it.
Absolutely.
Say less.
But by all accounts, it's outside of, by all accounts, it's outside of tax code.
It is.
And then the other part is apparently they found an Excel spreadsheet with all of these listed over the years. So technically speaking, they got it that Weisselberg had all the knowledge that he needed to about all the benefits.
So he took payment off the books, but he kept a record of it?
It's expensing it. So you're paying for an apartment, and then they're expensing it through the Trump organization.
Gotcha.
So this reducing their profits.
Hey man, that tax code is it's crazy anyway.
Well, that's what your accountant's for, and he was the accountant and should have been up to date with that. It's a little bit like a real estate agent not knowing what the codes and the rules and the regulations are for buying a house. It's just the same thing. Weisselberg was CFO. Just like we have an accountant to do all our books.
Well, they got these, I think they call them directed funds that are basically accounts where you can, it's a charitable giving account where you can make these charitable donations to an organization, let's say the Trump organization, that's held tax-free.
That's what we spoke about the last podcast.
And they're doing this crap. That's what this sounds like. It could have been something similar.
It was a 503c4, I believe.
Something like that. That donor. I was looking up more information about it. Uh-huh. It's like, shoot, that sounds like what Weisselberg might have been trying to do. So he might get away with it. I don't know, man. We'll see. They indicted him. We all know indictments don't lead to convictions all the time. But it's neither here nor there. So we'll see.
I think we'll see. I think only time will tell to
Absolutely.
See what where it all takes us.
A partner made a comment. One of my clients trying to buy a new build in Aliana, Richmond. Same style home, same builder, sold in March for $165 a square foot, selling now for $201 a square foot.
Is that nuts? That is just nuts.
Yeah. It is. She says it's difficult to explain. It is difficult to to try to make
one
sense
of our agents called me up yesterday actually, and she turned around and says, "I've made 7 offers on a property, and I've tried to explain the situation to my client, and he doesn't believe me." He's not getting any offers, accepted. It's like, listen to your agent. Your agent's, trying to give you good advice.
Yeah, I'm knock on wood. I thank God I've gotten some offers, a couple of deals working, at least trying to get them. But they don't look like they did 2 years ago or a year ago with seller contribution and regular earnest money. And they're trying everything now, man, to get these option fees are doubled and tripled. It's a lot of different tactics that people are using.
Well,
so.
we had that one property the start of the year with 120 offers. That was just nuts.
Oh, yeah.
So when you got 120 offers, it doesn't go for this price. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and buying a house right now is like buying Bitcoin at 60K.
Yes.
So even my friends, they're renting right now, but they're saying the rent is just so egregious that they're just gonna buy. And I'm like, dude, you gotta do what you gotta do, but
right.
Just it's such a bad position to be in because you buy that house and your equity is gonna go straight down. It has a higher chance of going down than up at this point. I would say.
Well, the deal is even the equity goes down. The deal when you're buying real estate, it typically comes back. That it's going to drive it where it'll come back. The problem they're going to be in, if they give that notice that they're vacating,
and they can't
trying to find something to buy. So they better find something first. And
but it's the same thing, sort of like a stock in a way. If you're in it for the short haul,
right,
then perhaps it's more risky. If you're in it for the long haul, like you said, then it will come back.
Absolutely.
And it will go up. I personally don't think the situation's going to get... I don't think it's going to get better. I think it's going to continue. And that's why I feel so strongly for first-time home buyers that are trying to get onto that ladder.
And it's so many people trying to buy now that it's competitive. It is super competitive.
And I do think COVID's made it worse because people are working at home, so people are looking for bigger space. So people that was in a 1-bedroom are now looking for a 2-bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
People who's in a 2-bedroom are now looking for a 3-bedroom. And I personally, I know people say, "Oh, there's going to be this great crash," but I really don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think it'll be a crash. There's too many checks and balances put in place for qualifying for homes now.
And if you look at the chaos that we had in 2008, we don't want to go through that again.
Nah.
We had to bail out the banks for billions of dollars or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So why not?
I don't think it'll crash, but it'll definitely see a consolidation phase where
I think
people do not buy.
I agree.
We need to see
People are not buying.
We need it to plateau out.
We needed to kind of do that because we got to build inventory some kind of way. The builders can't keep up. They can't keep up at all. So,
not that it's in their interest to keep up, but
exactly.
That's the beauty of Houston, I believe, that we've got plenty of land, but a lot of people are moving out at the moment. But I do think that when gas prices go up, we'll see what starts to happen.
We will see, sir.
It's also like Houston's not built to last too, so we'll see as time goes on with these new builds. I don't think these people are getting what they pay for on the new builds.
Of course not.
And my friend actually, the one who's trying to buy, told me he worked on the Margaritaville up in Conroe. He placed the concrete and everything.
Oh, really?
He said he would not go there because he said in 5 to 10 years they're gonna start having structural problems because they're just taking the cheapest way to build it, the fastest way to build it, so they can get it open and start making money. Same thing with the houses.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That's interesting because I was just talking to somebody that went to Margaritaville like 2 weekends ago.
He said he would not do it. Now I guess it's fresh,
right.
But he said there's definitely going to be structural problems.
When you got a place like that where there's a lot of people going to it, it wears down that
and
much
a huge
quicker.
Puddle of water, and they have concrete under it and stuff, and the land is just stilt. It's always moving and stuff.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we'll see. He could be wrong. That's not my profession, but that's his job, so I'm gonna listen to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let's move on to something that is...
You ready for this?
It's very close to my heart. Back to the old sport thing.
Back to the Olympics.
All right. The swimming cap ban.
So
I personally feel that African Americans, white people, if you've got hair, should be able to wear a swimming cap that's applicable. Back to the same principle as I said. Does it give them an advantage? And to the best of my knowledge, it doesn't, which you hopefully are going to explain to me, John.
Man, I don't think it does. Here's the deal. So we got a lot of women that are this natural hair movement. So the hair, it's there. It's there. Black women you usually will wear their hair in certain ways, different ways. That's just the beauty of having that natural crown as a black woman. So they can wear their hair in different ways and different forms. So to ban a cap that's meant to be protective for them once they jump into a chlorinated pool of water or whatever the case may be, it just kind of seems like an overt impact toward those people specifically because they're saying that hat or that cap can't be worn. I think the name it was.
What was their reason for
Soul Cap is the name of is a British company. Soul Cap was they had actually created a cap by.
Yeah, I've actually seen one online. Yeah,
it was able to be worn. Yeah, exactly. It was able to be worn by the Olympians, and I don't know what it is. They don't want them to wear it, and it makes no sense to me.
And isn't the swimming hat inherently on its own is an advantage. You know what I mean? Like they wouldn't wear it if they didn't get something out of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
right, because your hair flopping all over the place is just so it's just
it is an advantage.
Well, as far
well, I don't know if you know this, but swimmers shave their legs because hair causes friction in the water.
Can slow you down a bit.
Yeah, I mean it's we're talking decimals here, but you do like if you do it,
but it can make a difference. Yeah, I've seen you see those guys.
But my point is, if it's a big swim cap.
Well, it ain't big. You see it. It's.
Well, that one to the right is.
Well, it's her hair.
Yeah, you can't do anything about that.
You can't do anything about it.
We want her to cut it off.
I'm not shaving my hair.
I know, but what I'm saying is, would that be if it's that size? Would that be an advantage? That doesn't seem like it's going to be an advantage.
No, she is not an Olympic swimmer. I mean, I don't think that woman is. I think she wears it, but it's a protective style specifically because. Black women can't just get their hair all wet up in a swimming pool like that. It needs something to protect it. So that's why that Soul Cap came out with it. Swim caps, yeah. Large, extra large, double X. So you got a lot of hair, I don't know. To me, I think it's ridiculous to ban the specifically for black hair.
Let's look at something. Here we go. I'm a guy with long hair. Didn't know that was there. I go to the gym, etc. And while I always look after my hair, sometimes I just want to shower and keep my hair dry. I've used other long hair swim caps and different long hair caps before, and they were all junk as they split in no time. And all this product is amazing. I have already told several long-haired friends. But I just can't see the advantage in wearing a swim cap. If that's the case, then get everybody to wear a cap.
They do. It's rare that you swim and you don't. I mean, unless you're probably like.
I know. Mark is it Phelps?
Yeah, Michael Phelps.
He wore a cap, didn't he?
Like
a lot of guys do.
You're usually. I think it's even like a jersey, if you say in swimming, is the cap because they put like a number on it. I think.
So if that's the case, why did they ban?
That's why it's such a controversy. We don't know. Some of those hats they're just big enough.
If anybody knows out there, please leave it in the comments.
It's the design of it. Apparently, it's supposed to be a new design that the Soul Cap came out with, and I don't know. They just didn't do it. They did not do it.
Caps help protect the hair, scalp, and ears from pool water, keep the earplugs in, and keep the pool clean. In open water, the caps make swimmers more visible to other athletes and rescue crews. It's not hard to see why swimmers are always wearing their caps.
It makes sense to me. You said keeping the pool, if it covers everything, people put all kinds of crap in their hair. So it kind of,
I mean, look at the water. Like, if you have hair, you're going to split the water, and it's not going to come around you like that. You know what I mean? So that's why they wear them. But yeah, see, like, he has his flag on there, his name. They wear it as, like, jerseys, pretty much, because all they have is Speedos.
I really just can't
Don't see the issue, right?
No, I don't. When I first heard about this, and, I said to you guys about bringing it up, I just couldn't understand it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Make sense.
I just can't understand it. I just can't understand what the big deal is.
I'll drop him.
Oh yeah, drop him a follow. Put a hashtag in this thing. Oh, Cap. Yeah.
What's your feeling on the Tokyo Olympics?
Well, I think I saw today that they're not letting the crowds in. Did I see that somewhere?
That's proposed. Their propose is bars apparently have got to close at 8 o'clock.
Ceremony.
And they're talking about not having crowds into the different events. And that in itself is a sort of problem. What happens to people with a bought tickets?
Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga confirmed Thursday that Olympic events in Tokyo will have no spectators at any of the games' venues. That kind of sucks, man.
What happens if you bought tickets and plane tickets and hotels and?
What happened if you're an athlete, you've been working for this moment all your life, and you go to the Olympics? It just feels like another day in the gym.
And you want your mom and dad to go?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, to be honest, though, I would rather watch it. If my kid was in the Olympics, I'd rather watch it on TV. Because, like, you can sit at home.
He sounds too much like my dad when I did Olympics.
No, but you get a better view. Like,
oh, yeah, you definitely get a better view on anything.
You get...
Unless you're at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, because that Jumbotron is ridiculous.
Isn't that the biggest one in the country?
No matter where you sit, you can see that thing. But being at home, you can get all the angles, and the camera guys, they have cameras everywhere.
They break down the game for you, so like, especially because like 90% of these parents don't know what the hell their kids are doing out there. So like, you have the commentator like telling you what's going on, breaking it down for you. I think it's better.
It's an experience. I kind of feel bad for the athletes though.
The athletes,
man,
yeah,
it's
definitely.
just like, man, because hearing that roar of the crowd, man, it's just something about just
it's the atmosphere. I think
you're coming up in the last lap, and now you're getting faster and faster.
The part that's hard about it is, for most people, it's a once in a lifetime experience.
Exactly. That's the thing, man.
It's surprising when you sort of leave the Olympics, what memories you have. All them years on, and there's a lot that you forget, but there's a lot that you remember, and that's the part that's unfortunate with it, because I think you're sort of missing part of that experience. Because I mean, a lot of them athletes, and I was the same. We were, I worked since the age of 8.
Oh man, that's a long time.
And I'm sure there's other people here that have been jumping in pools and training and. And what were some of the new sports they're doing this year? Skateboarding or something?
Yeah, they had.
Did they really?
Yeah, skateboarding's in the Olympics.
Really? Who's representing us? Do we know? Tony Hawk. They got a geriatric. That's a senior Olympics, huh? Man.
Yeah.
They need to add like chess and stuff too, though. Official site of USA.
I don't know what they do. Do they race one another? Do they?
No, you
tricks?
do. Yeah, it's like like skiing, or not ski. Yes, skiing and snowboarding. It's the same thing, except you're just on wheels.
Oh, that's cool.
So those go on, do their ramp, and they get scored based on how they land, how they execute, form.
Oh, where they fall on their ass.
Yeah, I mean, you fall, you get You fall on like the big ski jump. Is it called the ski jump? Where like you go down that big ramp. If you fall, like you take an L. That's just what happens.
This is true.
So I think it's good. You should stray away from traditional sports because there's more sports than what is in the Olympics.
This is true, man. Yeah. There's a lot. I'll tell you one sport. It's not the Summer Olympics. I got hooked on, man. You'll never believe it. It's in the Winter Olympics.
Shuffleboarding.
Close.
The other one.
Curling.
Curling, yeah.
Man, I can watch that. I can watch hours.
You only like that because you fancy doing it because you can drink whiskey in between and beer.
Man, I watch curling. My wife's like, you watch anything. I said, man, this is a very interesting game. I mean, those.
Is that the one where they're like rubbing the board?
Yeah, sweeping, trying to make
some crazy stuff.
Yeah, those.
I bet you don't clean the floors at home with that much.
Oh no, not at all, man. They send those stones down. I like watching it. I do. Full confession. I'm an Olympic Winter Olympic.
It's a huge sport in Scotland.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
They close the ice rinks down in the winter. That's all they do is drink whiskey and skateboarding, do curling.
Well,
it's huge.
I know we got the game starting here in a couple of weeks, so I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to it, and in spite of those that want to turn their back on
the thing that's disappointing
flag.
with it, to be perfectly honest, is they moved it back a year.
They're gonna have to catch it back up.
Yeah.
And
then when's the next one?
It'll be in 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
Put it back. They're gonna have to do it and just do it in 3 years.
And losing a year though is not that big of a deal.
It isn't.
Especially if you know it's coming. Like right now, you know.
2 years, that'd be kind of jacked up.
Next year is going to be the Winter Olympics.
Winter Olympics, so they kind of alternate. Winter and summer.
Right.
And yeah. But yeah, I think that they got enough time to kind of get logistically put it all together.
Yeah.
And just do it in 3 years.
Hey Jack, pull up where the Winter Olympics is next year.
On where we had it in
Beijing.
Sweden. Beijing, baby.
Well,
Wow.
I wouldn't mind going to Beijing.
I bet you COVID's not so much of a problem.
Oh,
People do as they're told.
the first city to recover from COVID was Wuhan. That opened up.
Oh,
They had water parks open and everything in a matter of like 3 or 6 months or something like
isn't
that.
that something?
I still want to know how that got out. That's what I want to know.
Oh, we should add that to the lab leak theory. That's actually a good topic because a lot of people are talking about that right now.
We can talk about it next week.
Yeah.
How did it
get out?
Well, people are starting to speculate that it was like lab created.
Right.
That would not surprise me.
Yeah.
That would not surprise me at all.
I mean, just think what chaos it's caused. It's just, when you look back.
And if you look at that was the United States election year, arguably the biggest election of the entire history of the United States.
Agreed.
And like how it affected all the economies and everything. It's crazy. So I'm not gonna say it was, but I wouldn't.
We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it next week.
You wouldn't put it past them.
Exactly. Yeah.
I wouldn't either.
I'm just like Aliens.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I wouldn't doubt it.
Wouldn't either. Wouldn't either. Cool, man. This is good stuff, man. Good stuff. Shoot, we got the Olympics started.
Let everyone. You.
Nope, not yet.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I will.
Okay.
I will.
I want to talk about that and then what we plan on doing with.
Yeah.
On the same thing.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's not a bad idea.
Yep.
Not a bad idea.
I like it.
Well,
cool,
we're
man.
doing good, and
as usual.
And as real estate, you feel we're still gonna go up? Is that where you feel?
I think we'll still be good. I think we'll be good. I think people will still buy for now, at least.
I'm looking. Joe, I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to in the real estate market is normally the summer is normally busy.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's going to extend because lack of inventory through the winter months.
I think it will.
Yeah, especially because like the reason summer was so popular was because school, but now school is at home.
Yep.
So you don't have like that. I have to get ready to go back to school type of deal. So you can move in September. You can move in October, and it's not.
People are doing it virtually anyway.
But I think.
It's a lot easier.
But I'm wondering if it'll be less competitive or it's still going to be as competitive as ever? Because now people are thinking, well,
Yeah.
I'm joining the market because it's less competitive, and then they're not really going to see.
Well, I think, unfortunately, where we are now is one of those, just like the whole toilet paper, hand sanitizer kind of deal. People are going to be in that mindset of, I got to buy. So we're probably going to find that competition that's going to be really heavy right now for a while till, things kind of slow down.
I was talking to Century 21, in general yesterday about our numbers, and they was basically saying we're having one of the best years we've ever had.
Oh, I just did the agent of the month thing yesterday. The top 4 agents all had 2 numbers in front of their comma.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
All agents in the top 8 had 2 numbers in front of their comma.
That's good.
And usually it's like 1 or 2.
Right.
That's good.
But a lot of that is because the prices are going up, so they're doing less transactions, but they're doing more. They're making more in commissions, whatever you want to call it.
Oh yeah, because the loans are.
But the value of
are higher.
Of the homes are going up. At the end of the day, it's all about the client, but to make sure they're taken care of. But
I'm excited about it though.
It's just amazing how. I'm looking forward to see what happens in the winter months. I really am. To see if it continues and then how it carries through the winter.
Well, one thing for sure.
We're going to find out.
We will. And we're going to continue these talks at the table.
Yep.
We want y'all to join us. Share this thing and tell somebody about it.
Yeah, and if anybody's got any comments on any of these subjects, please leave us a comment.
Absolutely.
So we can take
something you want us to talk about, right? We're
Yeah.
open to topics.
Absolutely.
We just do it on the spot. Just put it in the box. We'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
It's going to be our opinion, so don't get offended. And, we're going to give you what we think.
All right, then. So I guess that brings us to the end of today's podcast.
That's it.
Well, I enjoyed that.
Absolutely. If y'all need to contact us, our information is in the description below. Please reach out and join the table. We talk on Thursdays, 10 o'clock. Let somebody know about it. Come sit there with
And hopefully
us.
we don't offend too many people.
Oh, hopefully not.
That's not the purpose.
Yes, blame it on our heads, not our hearts.
All right, boys and girls. Have a good week. If you can't be good, be wicked and keep on living the dream.
Absolutely.